Previously on Kim Java, the charger's broken. Charger unavailable. Dang it!
This one with the lightning is working, and the guy next to it said that we can have it once the lightning finishes it up.
I think we need to Google.
Mind you, we've only driven EVs for a decade and review EVs for a living.
How to unplug an EV9 top search. That's really sad that they have a whole video about this. We've had this car now for how many days? Like a week?
Just about a week, yeah. One of the longest we've ever had a car.
Which is really nice because you get a sense for it versus having it just for a couple hours, drive around, but to actually take it on a road trip with our kids, family of 5. Also, this video is not sponsored by Kia. I want to mention that up front. They did give us the vehicle for a week, but that is it. So my daily driver is a Tesla Model X. Naturally, I compare it to what I drive every day. When
it comes to electric 3-row SUVs, there's just a handful of them out there that are available. The R1S, of course, the Model X, and this are at the top of them. And a lot of people have suggested us comparing this to at least the Model X, and that is exactly kind of what our stance has been, right? Coming into it, looking at comfort, looking at the ride quality, just the family aspect of having, in our case, 3 kids, essentially a kid in every row.
Yeah.
And seeing how this car plays out.
With the car fully charged and fully loaded, we made the 400-mile round trip to the eastern side of Washington State. Hopefully we have everything. I know we have all of our people. It is actually Lakin's birthday today. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the car into eco mode right here. See all the different modes right there, put into eco, and check this out, 322 miles on a full charge. Remember, this car is rated for 280. See if we actually do though.
Check out the front trunk. Pretty much the only thing that could fit in here, charging cables, sandals, and a pillow. So a very shallow front trunk space, and that is essentially all we got room for.
Now, because the car has enough range to make it to our first stop, almost 200 miles away, we decided to map to an Electrify America station about halfway through. So here's the game. Tesla's worth 1 point each. I'm gonna give Tesla Mach-E's 1 point each. Cybertruck, 10 points, because there's not a lot of them here yet. 4 points for Rivian.
Tesla.
Yeah, we're fighting over who got dibs.
Check the footage. Check the footage.
Oh, Rivian right in front of us, guys.
Rivian, I just saw 2.
No, you didn't.
I thought, yes, I
That
did.
was my Rivian.
A yellow Cybertruck, a yellow Cybertruck. 10 points for me, I'm winning.
You wish. So we're just playing around with the UI right now, and we realized that there's an intercom where I can talk to the 3rd row. Check this out. Liam, please be quiet. Stop hitting your sister. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Landon, you want to do some rap? On the Tesla, we could do carpool karaoke. The lane centering is so much more than just lane centering. It's basically like autopilot. Like it really, like it drives for you completely. They say it's not hands-free, but honestly, you probably could go hands-free for a little while. First potty break. Should we stop at a gas station? The irony. This is like the cup holder situations. You have my wallet in here to kind of keep this from knocking around. And then I put this in here and it's like loosey-goosey. It's a weird kind of size for a cup holder. I'm not sure if I'm digging these cup holders, to be honest with you. I guess there's the cup holders back here. We'll do that. All right, there we go. So let's talk a little bit about space first, because you just mentioned a kid in every row. I love being able to have the captain seats, and I feel like the 2nd row is naturally roomier. There's more leg room for whoever's sitting in that 2nd row, and possibly even the 3rd row as well. Thanks to CCAN Action Fund, one of the best nonprofits fighting climate change, for sponsoring this video. They just launched their annual EV raffle where a viewer of this channel actually won previously. And this year you have one of the best odds of winning out there, and the best part is all the proceeds go to our friends at Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. For the first time, you have not 1 but 2 chances to win a brand new EV with just 1 ticket. First place winners get to choose between an R1T, R1S, Plaid Model X, or even a Cybertruck. And the 2nd place winner will get a Hyundai Ioniq 5. Our friends over at CCAN Action Fund really do amazing work nationwide addressing the climate crisis, and you'll also be supporting a great cause. To enter, visit www.evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org, and tickets are just $200 and only 7,000 will be sold. Really, your odds have never been better. Visit evraffle.org or see the link down below. Let's get back to the video.
So when it comes to comfort, I'm going with the EV9 compared to the Model X. Definitely roomier, the seats seem more comfortable, and just the overall layout seems like it gives you a little bit more space. And especially the third row. I think the windows in the third row make it feel even roomier because they're much larger windows. This one, by far and away, is a more comfortable third row. Again, 6-seat versus 6-seat.
Okay, what about cargo capacity?
The EV9, incredibly, actually has the exact same cargo capacity as the Model X, at least when it comes to different configurations, and I'll explain that because 82 cubic feet is what you get between these two cars, but the Model X, in its 6-seater, because you can't fold the second row down, you don't get that 82 cubic feet of space. Of course, in the 5 and 7 seat, you do get that option, but when it comes to 6 to 6, I think this car definitely wins. It gives you that utility where you can put larger items into it, but also you're able to really get a comfortable layout with everyone having their own space.
Now here's where I differ a little bit, because with this vehicle, the front trunk is very small.
Yes.
You can't fit a lot in there. With my Model X, I can put a stroller in there. Also, I really like having that deep storage well in the rear of the car, where here you don't have that either.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, it's more usable for what I use it for day to day. So it really, I think, depends on what you're using your car for.
That's fair enough, yeah. The cargo capacity of the front trunk in this car is as small as we've ever seen it for a large SUV. Honestly,
But there is one.
There is one. But honestly, like the Model 3, our Model 3 has a larger cargo capacity in the front trunk than this does. So that really tells you how little the space is up there. Really good enough just for your shoes and a takeout order of food, and that's about it. So it's a very, very small space. And in the rear, there is no well, like you said. So you're right. If you're wanting to utilize those two spaces daily, that is a good option to go with the X. If you want to have the ability to fold the second row down and put something like a bike in here, that's another option. And also, keep in mind, you get a roof rack on this where you can't do that on the Model X because of the Falcon Wing doors.
Yeah.
So it's just, what do you value?
It really is what do you value? So who do we give it to then?
Gosh.
I feel like it's tied.
You want it to be tied. I wanted to give it to the EV9 because of the roof rack, because of the foldability, but those are maybe infrequent use cases where I know in your case, the front trunk and the rear well are frequent use cases.
I use those every single day,
Yeah.
especially for groceries too in the back. Like being able to put bags down on the bottom, have like another layer, it's like a shelf essentially that you get with the Model X, and I really use that
So
every single day.
We'll call that a tie.
I'm going to call it a tie.
Okay, let's talk about the quietness of the cabin, because I think the EV9, and we did highway, we did mountains, we did gravel roads, I think the EV9 is quieter all around. I was actually playing with the windows, kind of making sure they were double insulated, kind of the way the new Model X's are, and they are. But of course, there's no noise cancellation in these headrests, where the Model X has a microphone and speakers built in that creates, a noise cancellation feature to drown out some of the noise. But I think this is definitely a quieter overall EV as far as driving is concerned.
I agree with that. It's extremely quiet. That was actually one of the first things I noticed when we got in here was how quiet it was. Yeah. So I'm okay giving that to the Kia.
Hold on to a handle.
She's never had a handle in a car before.
Liam, hold on to a handle. I don't have one.
There's no handle in the third row.
Tell me you're from Georgia. Not telling me you live in Georgia. We see snow. We haven't seen snow in years. Has she ever seen snow?
I don't know.
Lincoln, have you ever seen snow?
I don't remember. This is not snow.
Snow in June.
At least it's not yellow snow.
I'd throw it at you.
Okay, throw it at me. Throw it at that booty.
Landon, come on. Lane. Oh, I got it in the cabin with camera in hand. I didn't think I had that good of a name. Oh, geez, man. Okay, let me get you a napkin.
It was worth it.
Incredibly, at our first charging stop, after 103 miles of driving up a mountain pass, the car showed it had only consumed 101 miles of range. Not only underestimating its range, but beating it. But when we got to the charging station, which had overly positive reviews, we were in for a surprise.
We're not the ones that did that.
No.
I don't know what happened. We just opened up the door and there's tons of coffee beans. The charger's broken. This is the issue with Electrify America. Refrigerant available. Dang it!
This one with the lightning is working, and the guy next to it said that we can have it once the lightning finishes it up.
And he's at about 30% right now, so we have a while to wait for him to charge up. We're next in line. So I decided to walk to town with the kids about a half a mile away while PJ waited for the one working charger to free up. So here's the irony is that the Tesla superchargers have 1 million stalls. They're all working, none of them are broken, and they're right next to the downtown where we've just walked for about 10 minutes to get here, and check that out, there's the Cybertruck over there. After about 30 minutes of waiting, PJ found another CCS charger about a mile away listed as available, so he went to go check it out.
We're here, and it's taken up by a Tesla and a Subaru Solterra, even though they're not really charging. Does not get more frustrating than this when you've got a Tesla taking up a spot and they're not even using it.
As he was getting ready to head back to Electrify America, the Solterra owner showed up and freed a spot.
Hey sweetie, we're recording you. We are at a new charging station.
Okay.
Yeah.
After grabbing a quick bite,
Happy birthday to you.
the car was ready to go and we made it back to our destination with a wall charger.
Mom, like one.
Kim is having a good time. All right, range is king, Kim, and the Model X is rated, at least in the 6-seater, it's rated for about 340 or so, 348 miles of range. This, in this Land Edition, starts at around $70,000, is rated for 280 miles, but then you have options to drop it into Eco mode, which gets you about 320 miles of range. So is the Model X's 340-ish better than this car's, let's say, 300-ish?
Now, the other thing to think about is when Tesla gives you a range versus when any other vehicle gives you a range, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and you and I have never been able to figure out how Tesla is able to give you such an impressive range, but then under-deliver almost every single time, no matter how careful you are, how in tune you are with the HVAC and the elevation and the climate and everything.
Yeah.
This, we drove it, 400 plus miles on a road trip. We found it to come within 5 or 10 miles of what it was estimating.
Yeah.
So it was estimating 322, I think, miles of range. I believe we pulled off about 310 miles of full driving range had we not topped it off. So I think this is very accurate. So when it tells you it's got 310 or 300, it's going to give you very close to that number within 10 or 15 miles, let's say. The Model X, when it tells you it's got 340, it's probably going to give you about 300, maybe even 290.
Yeah. So then the winner goes.
Gosh, it's, because...
Then the winner in that case would go to Kia.
Yeah.
In that case, which is crazy to say, but it is.
But part of your range, don't forget, is how easily and how fast you can charge it.
Yes.
That's a huge part
and
of
that
it.
100% goes to Tesla.
Yes.
During our road trip, charging was not easy. Charging, we found that the chargers were unreliable, and even when we're getting this adapter coming, or maybe you have a magic dock with the Tesla, so you could charge it with NACS, it's not as easy as it sounds because
there's hardware limitations.
Yeah, they'll make charging very slow with this vehicle.
I believe because of its 800-volt architecture, and I believe our friend Kyle Connor from Out of Spec has kind of dove deep into this. He's been able to only get 86 kilowatts of peak charging out of a car that's rated for 350 kilowatts from a Tesla supercharger. So, he pulled up to a supercharger, tried it, 86 the best you can do. I researched it online. The 80s seem like where it lands. The car at its current state is not able to tap into Tesla's full speed of supercharging speeds. Now, DC fast chargers, yesterday, I got a peak, I think, of about 211 kilowatts. So it is able to get up there, and we were at 35-40% SOC. So it is absolutely capable of getting close to 350 kilowatts, but it's not going to do it at a Tesla supercharger. But that's not Kia's fault necessarily, because the Electrify Americas we went to every single time, the vast majority of the chargers on this last trip even were all non-functional. Someone was working on them the second time we showed up. But
the other part of this, which we'll get into UI in a minute, is just like when you map to your destination and how the car with Tesla, it naturally you're using your navigation as part of the UI, and it's automatically preheating or preconditioning your car. All those little things make it an easier road trip with Tesla.
For sure. And it doesn't incorporate that in. So if you put it into Apple CarPlay, as we were using, because it's a much better layout of the mapping system, it doesn't precondition your battery. So we had to actually double dip.
But I will say day to day, you're going to be charging it at home. These are things that you don't have to do unless you go on a road trip. So they're not things that, like, you know, if you don't plan on using it for a road tripping car, it doesn't really matter. But overall, charging definitely goes to Tesla.
Yeah.
This is core memories right here.
Trying to remove the charge port. Keep saying
So
charge.
charging started. Wait, don't we need to
Yeah, so I've
hold
tried
that?
that. It still doesn't really do it. Yeah, just keep saying charging started. Close the doors and let's see if that makes a difference. Lakin's door is open though. Lock on there multiple times
Now try.
and now press the hold.
Yeah, I think we need to Google.
Mind you, we've only driven EVs for a decade and review EVs for a living.
We can't figure out how to unplug this thing. Are there instructions on it somewhere? Like, this is so bizarre to me. Okay, it says hold. Let me try holding it longer. How to unplug an EV9 top search. Wow. All right, solution. Solution when the charger cannot be removed. That's really sad that they have a whole video about this.
The charging connector is also unlocked when the doors are unlocked.
But the doors have been open the whole time.
If the charging connector still cannot be removed after unlocking the doors, use the emergency release cable to unlock it.
That's like, yeah, that's one of those things.
There we go.
You have another handle right here.
There.
There it is.
Let's go ahead and close this door and get our day started.
Look at this.
We got tomato.
It's a Dodge Adventurer, abandoned and left for dead, right next to a Model S.
We're gonna race.
Oh yeah?
3 lanes. 3 of
Oh
us.
my gosh. So Liam and his squishy got a little too squishy back there. And look at the window back there. Sorry, Kia. Comment section. What do you think the punishment should be? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is what happens when you have a Liam in the household. Okay. At least there's trash cans right back there on the side of the highway. Cleaning the Kia. That looks pretty
Stuff
good.
that you never thought you'd have to. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of back in the 80s when we used to let glue dry on our hands and then just like peel it off. Cybertruck spotted.
Low pressure.
We gotta put some air in our tire and let's hope that we don't have like a nail or something.
We'll find out. We're in line here to air up.
A few days later, on our way back, driving past the same Electrify America, we came across this.
We're at 34%.
Oh,
Pulling
are they
up.
servicing?
Oh, look at this. Out of service, but they're trying to fix it. Are they good to go? The chargers, are they working?
Only Charger 2 is working for right now.
Okay.
I'm doing maintenance on all of them right now.
Okay. All right, the lone charger opened up, pulling a little over 206 kilowatts, and should be here for about 20 minutes to get to 80%. So pretty good charging speeds. Not quite low enough on the SoC to get to the 350 kilowatts, but we've got another person with an Ioniq 5 lined up.
What I will say about this is that there's no lag at all.
Yes.
There's 0 lag, and I love this giant screen. I think it's really nice, but I found the user experience of where you find things, where you locate things, a little bit confusing.
Yes.
Compared to some of the other UIs and other vehicles, not just even Tesla, just other vehicles in general. It took me a second to figure it out, and I've tested almost everything out. But what I really disliked the most was really the navigation. The onboard navigation, I thought was pretty awful, honestly. But you have Apple CarPlay, you have Android Auto, so those are really what you have to use. Where with Tesla, you don't have Apple CarPlay, you don't have Android Auto, but honestly, their navigation's pretty good.
Yeah. It works really well. And the screen size too, you know, we're looking at a 12-inch screen, a second 12-inch screen, and a 5-inch screen for the HVAC. And one thing you noticed, and I noticed as well when I was driving, is that 5-inch screen that is dedicated just to your HVAC settings is just absolutely out of the line of sight for the driver.
You can't see it. You can't see it when you're driving.
It's blocked by this area of the steering wheel. It's really odd, but it's perfect for the passenger. Of course, I got to reach over to interact with it.
But then, again, if you're trying to get your HVAC, you have the little buttons and things like that you can use to get them. Also, people sitting in the back can operate theirs themselves, like right up here. Yeah. So it's not like you need that as much. But for me, it was just, it's just a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I also didn't prefer this haptic touch. I thought I would like it because I think the Nissan Ariya had something similar where you had haptic touch that actually was a little bit more responsive. Here I found myself having to press it harder than I wanted to get it to
Or you accidentally hit it. You were trying to use the touch screen.
Using the touch screen, if your hand's leaning down on the bottom, you touch that as well.
Yeah.
So those are a couple things I noticed. Kind of nitpicky items. You know, the volume, when we're trying to change the volume on the road, when we're kind of moving around a little bit, if you press this in, it mutes the volume. There it goes. And as you're trying to scroll up or down, it's very easy to press it in. So again, a little nitpicky stuff.
But I would say if this was a car that you were driving as your daily driver, you would get very used to it. You'd figure it out. It would become like second nature. Yeah. So I don't know if these things would be as big of a deal for you, but I find the UI in Tesla to be almost like your iPhone. It's very easy to use, and then everything else is more like an Android, which people love their Androids.
Yes.
So it depends what you get used to and what you like.
It's a preference. Yeah, if you're coming from a non-Tesla, maybe it's a completely different perspective, and you find a giant iPad, as a lot of the commenters in some of our videos say, the giant iPad unattractive and not the way to go. Where this is more maybe relatable to most
and
cars.
Even the cameras, I got in the vehicle with my brother-in-law, and he was like, "Oh, I love this style of camera. It's what I'm used to."
The backup camera with
the backup
lines,
camera and the line, and you're kind of distorted when you're next to another vehicle, and you have that bird's eye view, but it's just a different way of looking at the camera. Where I'm so used to Tesla, I almost prefer the squiggly lines, I guess, of Tesla. So again, a lot of it is preference, but overall, if I'm looking at UI, I give it to Tesla.
All right, Kim. Let's talk about aesthetics.
This one's so hard because it's so subjective.
It's extremely subjective. So when it comes to this vehicle from the outside, even from the inside, I guess, what do you think about its looks, its design, the front end, the back end?
So I absolutely love the design of this vehicle. I think that it is so beautiful. I love the lighting. It's so modern, futuristic, kind of has like Tron style lighting. I don't love the wheels, but perhaps you could change those.
Yes.
But overall, I think that it is really stunning from the outside. I think a lot of people come up and are like, "What is that? That's so cool. Is that a Telluride? Like, what is it?"
You get a lot of looks, a lot of people inquiring about it. We've noticed that for sure. Not like crazy Cybertruck, but it's probably the next thing that gets a lot of attention of like, what is this? They can tell it's different. They can tell I think it's an EV. And then they're just curious, who makes
way
the
cooler
KN.
than any minivan out there, for sure.
And tell me about the KN.
Oh yeah, people are confused because Kia somewhere along the line changed their logo so that the KIA almost looks like a K with a backwards N. And I read that is actually one of the most Googled.
It's a top Google search. Yeah. People are like, "What is the KN car?"
It's so funny. But overall, like, if you're just looking at the appearance outside, I almost prefer the look of this than the Model X, to be honest with you, because the Model X I think is beautiful, but
it's bulbous to some.
It is from the outside. But then there's so many things that I love about the Model X. I actually love the Falcon wings because of the purpose of the umbrella when they go up and they shield, and it's so much easier to put your child into a car seat.
Yes.
Like,
that's the thing, Elon Musk specifically designed that because he talked about cantilevering your kids, and he had a bunch of kids and still does, obviously, into these cars, and how difficult it was to get them into an SUV or a minivan, even with a sliding door, because you bump their head as you try to lift them up and put them in the seat.
So I feel like overall design, just from the outside, side by side, I do like the Kia EV9, but functionality, I'm going to give it to the Model X. And even though the Falcon wings seem like they would be this gimmick, they're really not, especially if you have kids.
It's hard for people to understand that, especially if they're, from the outside looking in on the Model X, but I'm 100% with you on that because with small kids, and us having 3 kids that we've essentially raised in Model X's over the last 8 years, that has been a huge part of it, is having a door go up and over you so you can get the child in easy. And in Atlanta, where it rains 60 plus inches a year, having the wings over you when you're trying to strap them in their car seats, all those things make a difference that I really appreciate.
So are you with me in terms of design, Kia EV9?
I'm with you, yes. Let's talk about the driving characteristics, because I was really, really surprised to learn this does not have air suspension. Because one, the price point, you thought for sure at this price point, starting at 70 plus in this land trim, it should have air suspension, but then it felt like it did have air suspension because it was so smooth over bumps that we've driven on with a Model X that you really feel yourself bouncing around. So I think it's like a multi-link coil suspension that they've got going with this particular setup, and on the front at least, that really makes the cabin ride far more comfortable than you would know.
Yes, I will say that it is a really very comfortable. It goes over bumps really well. It drives really, really smooth. But I do like having air suspension in terms of being able to lower your vehicle. I like that with the Model X you can set certain locations. I'm
on the fence on which one I give it to. I think the functionality of having that access to increase and decrease your suspension height, especially automatically, is huge. But then this car rides just as well, if not better, than the Model X with its air suspension. So I might give it a tie on this one.
Really, I still think it goes to Model X with the ability to be able to set locations and lower it. I like being able to lower the suspension when I'm putting kids in the car or higher it. Oh, while we're on this thing, we do have to talk about one more thing. Turning radius.
Yes, I was surprised that the turning radius was as poor as it was.
Yeah, the turning radius was not great.
Yeah. To the point where I noticed that it was among the poorest turning radiuses.
Do you say radii? Is that a thing?
I know radii is a thing, but I don't know if it is for turning radiuses. Maybe it is.
Yeah, there were a couple times when we were driving around. Actually, we were trying to get drone shots and things like that, and I'm trying to turn around, and I had to do a 4-point turn, basically, in order to turn around and go the other direction.
Yeah. And you've got this unique knob here, which you can acclimate to as well.
But again, these are things that, if you're nitpicking, you're going to notice. If this is what you go out to buy, the average person is not going to notice this stuff. They're just going to be very happy.
Yeah.
Overall, I think turning radius, yes, we're going to give that to Tesla. Tesla's known for that, especially with the Cybertruck. But Model X is great with it. Overall, though, I think that if you go and buy a Kia EV9, you're going to be very happy, especially if you have a big family.
Honestly, we haven't had a chance to drive the new next-gen R1S, but when it comes to this compared to the first-gen R1S that we've tested several times, I would pick the EV9 over that R1S because of how quiet the cabin is, because the range obviously on the R1S is also pretty impressive, but the range on this is really good. The charging, you're using Electrify America on both of them unless you're on the Adventure network. So, I think I like this more in the design. I actually like the design on this more than the R1S as well.
I think that it's right up there with Rivian, but I'm still probably going to give my overall pick to the Tesla Model X, but you are going to spend more money with Tesla.
Yes.
So what is the delta
between Model X and this?
Yes.
So Model X with a 6-seat configuration, everything else included as far as the base setup, you're at $77,000. This, in the 6-seat, all included, everything else, is about $70,000. So, and Model X, of course, charges you about $6,500 for those 6 seats. So that's really the delta is the 6-seat option. So that's where you're at.
So do you think it's worth it, though? Do you think it's worth it, $6,000 more, to get the Model X? They both qualify for the tax incentives.
They do. I think it's worth it because I like the UI better. I like the ease of the charging network better. The overall functionality aspect of having the wings for child seats, in our case, the front trunk storage, the rear trunk storage, all of those things. And again, the UI. I just got to go back to how seamless it is and how you can incorporate different things from your phone to be able to, get Sentry mode and the various software updates that we've had that made the car what it is today versus what it was when we bought it. That's why I would. But again, if I had this longer, maybe there would be things I would notice about this that I like better.
I am going to agree with you on everything that you just said, But I will say there are times where you're like, not just times, but there are a lot of people who feel like they just don't want to have a Tesla because everyone drives a Tesla. And I think if that is how you feel, then this is probably the vehicle you should get.
Yeah. Everyone drives the 3 and Y. Not everyone drives the S.
That's true, but at the same time, they just don't want it because
There's
they
a lot
see
of,
a lot of them on the road.
Yeah.
Speaking of, there's the R1S right here. But I think, having options is really important for people. And I think that this is a really, really great option for people. And it's exciting to see. I think Kia, I really like the direction they're going in. And I think they'll continue to get better. But I would hope that the price delta would have been larger. I feel like this, to me, should be, I don't know, like $60,000, $65,000.
They have options, obviously, in the 54 range for rear-wheel drive and less range with a 77 kilowatt-hour battery pack where you're getting 98 kilowatt-hours on this. So there are price points in the EV9 where you can get into all of this for far less money. But yeah, you do lose out on some of those features. One thing we forgot to touch on is the driver assist features. Of course, FSD, we've tested it extensively recently and we've seen how good it is at this point. But when it comes to driver assist in this car, what are your thoughts on this car's driver assist features?
I actually was impressed with them. I actually thought it did a really good job. So you have the lane keeping, and then if you also press the little distancing button up here, I forget the exact names of everything, it did a really good job overall. And it was pretty much seamless. It even changes lanes for you. Yeah. Where with Tesla, if you pay extra for FSD, which I don't even know what it is.
Change features, yeah.
Yeah, but that's like what, like an extra $13,000 right now?
Well, it's $8,000, but they dropped that price.
Oh, they dropped it.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it had a very impressive driver assist setup, especially the lane keeping. I definitely enjoyed its driver assist features more than everything else. The GM ones, the Ford ones, and also even the Mercedes ones that are really impressive. I enjoyed what Kia offered for my purposes, and of course I was using the accelerator myself, but you could also have it do distance keeping in addition to lane keeping. Yeah. But it was changing lanes and everything for us.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it. I actually did not think that I would like it as much as I did, and I thought it did a great job. So for that one, again, I would probably give it a tie, unless you're paying extra for FSD, but I feel like that's a whole different discussion.
Okay.
And I think that it's going to depend a lot on what your needs are for your vehicle. Is it something that you're just driving around town? Is it a road tripper? Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? I think all those factors really weigh in. I know in my particular situation with 3 kids, how I use my vehicle, I am very happy with our Tesla Model X. But there are times where I'm like, I would like to try something new out. And I think depending on how you feel, this could be an option.
Yeah, I mean, things like roof rack, the importance of roof rack and those sort of things, you just can't go with the Model X, or even the second row seats being folded, for your particular needs. Yeah, those things just don't go with the Model X in this 6-seat setup.
But let me know what you guys think about the EV9 in the comments down below. And thank you for coming on this journey with us, on the road trip with us. And we'll catch you guys next time. I really want to know what my kids, though, think about it. I want to know what they think about this vehicle versus the Model X. If they enjoyed going on a road trip in this more or less than our Model X.
Okay.
Should we ask them?
Let's do it.
All right. Lana, what do you think about the Kia EV9?
I think it's very spacious. Like for like a family like this, it's really good. Compared to like all the other Teslas like Model 3, Model Y, and Model X, it's really good for like road trips.
Like in terms of like you had a lot of legroom?
Yeah.
What about in the third row? Did you feel like you had more room in the third row in this car or a Model X?
So last week when we rented the Model Y for this, I actually had like no legroom, little to no legroom. And compared to that, it's so much better.
What about our Model X at home?
Model X, I would say it's about the same.
About the same for the third row, but what about the second row?
The second row for this car is definitely bigger.
Definitely bigger. And then what about the ventilation? Do you feel like you were comfortable with the temperature?
I mean, I think Teslas are a little better for ventilation.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And then what about, what other things did you like about it here? We have the Wi-Fi. We have the USB-Cs on the back of the seats.
I got to charge my laptop, and the lights are pretty cool. And then these this is really cool. These
little tray.
Yeah. Like if I need to like set my water here or any other like accessories.
accessories. You like having the accessories.
Yeah.
What about not having a screen though? You didn't have a screen to be able to watch anything in here. Did you care? Did you mind that?
I didn't really mind that.
You didn't mind
I mean,
that?
what do you expect from a car? Well, not these days, but.
But you were able to, you
Yeah.
have your phone or something else
Yeah.
like that. And actually, a lot of people lock that screen and don't really want their kids on the screen. So it's sort of nice when your car doesn't have it. I will say there are times when you're like, okay, enough screen time, and no one has to fight over it. But overall, you felt like it was comfortable. Would you prefer, if we were to trade in our Model X for this one, how would you feel about that?
I wouldn't be too disappointed though. I feel like I'm more used to Teslas, but I wouldn't be too disappointed.
Do you feel like Tesla has the cool factor?
I would say so, especially like the wings and like you were saying about like the screen. That's what kind of like sets it apart.
Yeah, you like the games in the Tesla and the
Yeah.
UI and all the extra little like silly features. The car can fart. Rainbow Road, all those little things. So if you were going to put them side by side, which one do you think is better? This one, which is the Kia EV9, or Model X? What would be your pick?
I feel like Model X.
Model X?
Not that this is bad or anything though, obviously. Because I feel like Model X is like way more established by like the community, and I feel like this is sort of like newer and it has like still a lot to work on, but it's very promising.
Kia's actually been around a lot longer than Tesla.
Yeah, but like this car.
This is new, yes.
Yeah. I feel
This
like
is kind of
it's
like
very
their
promising.
electric.
It's,
Yes.
It's really promising.
Very promising. I would agree with that. Okay, Liam, you're in the hot seat. What do you think?
Same Lynn was saying.
Same. You can't just say that. What do you like? Likes and dislikes.
Dislike because I need games in the back of the car.
You like the screen. For him, it's all about the screen time, being able to control that, have games, disappear into the car where we don't know what he's doing. So, yeah. All right, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And thank you guys for coming on this road trip with us. And which one do you think? Do you think that the price delta is big enough for you to be able to pick the Model X versus the Kia EV9? I'm curious what you guys think about that. Do you think that, you know, if it's only like a $7,000 difference, would you go for the Model X? Or do you think that this one's the car to get? Let us know and we'll catch you next time. Here comes child number 3. She has 2 princess dresses on and now she wants a firefighter outfit. Okay, Lakin. Which car? Did you like this car? Do you like it better than our car at home? You do? Why? Are you just gonna say yes to everything I ask you? People are gonna say you were paid by Kia. Be careful. All right. There goes the fire chief.
What do we see, Liam?
Lots of bugs.
Look at this. The front end of a Kia EV9 is a bug graveyard. How much is it going to take you to clean it?
10 years.
10 years? How much money is it going to cost to clean it?
1,000.
$1,000 bucks.
Model
Model Y. All right, Liam, get to work. I'll give you 1,000 pennies.
Sounds like
Quick math.
$9.
2
Cybertrucks in.
Oh my gosh,
2 Cybertrucks in a minute. I found 2 drivers.
That's 20 points.